And this is a bonus edition of Take It From Tara's Wagon Wednesday on Friday. I love that. Don't you love that?
I do.
Wagon Friday. And my guest is David Frei, and I'm so excited to have him with us. We met a very long time ago, and I'm sure you don't remember this because, you know, I am one of those people that just makes friends with everyone. But David, we met on a plane when I was flying out to my 35th class reunion in Portland, Oregon.
I remember that.
And vaguely, right? I was the obnoxious woman who sat next to you and asked you a lot of questions about dogs.
That's right. Well, most people want to talk dogs, of course.
Well, with you, yeah, because you're famous.
Well, in my own little world, maybe, but you know, it's a lot of fun. We have this great thing in common of our love for dogs.
Yes, and that's what we talked about.
Everybody can talk to me about dogs.
The reason I got in touch with David on that plane was because he was carrying a little dog with him named Angel. Would you tell me a little bit about her?
My Cavalier Angel. She's now 11 years old.
I can't believe that.
So I don't know what the reunion is next for you after 35.
I cannot believe that. Well, I had a 40th already, but I'm hoping that I can come back out for the summer or something.
Angel's been a star in my therapy dog world and has visited some of the greatest hospitals and healthcare facilities around the country. She sat on Martha Stewart's lap.
Oh my! Was that before or after she was in prison?
That was. Angel's never been in prison.
No, Angel has not been. Let me clarify that. Was it before or after Martha was in prison? No, I'm just teasing.
I think it was before, actually. Martha's always been a great fan of therapy dogs, too.
Yes,
so,
she has.
God bless her for that. And we've always had fun on her show. I've been on several times with Westminster Dogs and Angel and Grace and other therapy dogs.
Yeah, because for years you did the Westminster Dog Show.
27 years.
Wow.
I did the Westminster Dog Show.
That's amazing.
When the TV contract was up 2 years ago, the NBC people were signing off on the contract, and Westminster was going to Fox Sports. Mm-hmm. And the NBC people said, we want you to come with us and keep doing the National Dog Show on Thanksgiving Day.
That's what I love.
My buddy John O'Hurley and I, we've been together 17 years now, and we have great fun with that. But 30 million people watch that show on Thanksgiving Day.
And I am one of them for sure. And when you do that show, it's always following the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, right? So
that doesn't hurt our audience.
It does not hurt at all because there's millions and millions of people watching that too. So David, when you made the transition from Westminster to the National Dog Show, what was the biggest adaptation that you had to make?
Well, we overlapped for several of those years. We started doing the National Dog Show in 2002, and I did Westminster starting in 1990. So the biggest adjustment was that the Westminster Dog Show is a live dog show.
Yes.
So it's 6 hours of live TV over 2 nights. And, you know, when you're live, it's forever. You can't get it back. But with the National Dog Show, and not everybody realizes this, but it's on tape. We tape it a few days before on the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and we shoot stuff at the show. We shoot some stand-ups at the show, and we walk around and do some features. And then in the competition, the actual competition in the groups, that's the part that goes on to tape that we edit into a 2-hour show.
Oh, wow.
For television, and John and I go do a voiceover after that and before Thanksgiving Day, and we get about 50 or 60 dogs in the show, and it's great fun. And
O'Hurley is a television actor.
He is a star.
Who's well known.
You know, he did that little sitcom thing, Seinfeld or whatever it was, and
nobody watched
then came to me and I made him a star doing
That's
dog
right.
shows.
Exactly. He was Jay Peterman on Seinfeld, and always fun.
Yeah, and he hosted To Tell the Truth. He hosted Family Feud.
Yes.
He won Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
He's one of the sexiest men in America, according to People magazine.
I think I would have given that to you.
Well, that's my point exactly. I wasn't around then to compete with him, but he is a true star, and he's been a lot of fun. We've become very close through the years. In fact, he's coming to Cannon Beach the beginning of September to do his one-man show.
Wonderful.
He's taking a weekend off from sellout crowds on Broadway, where he's in Chicago for the 5th time.
Amazing.
And is coming out to take a weekend with us and be in our little theater in Cannon Beach.
That's an awesome place. Well, that's another connection that David and I made when we were on the plane. I was going to Oregon for my reunion, and you were going because you were going to get ready to move there.
We were talking about moving there, and we still had roots at that time in Seattle as well. But by then we had lived in New York for, I don't know, maybe 10 years at that point.
Big change.
We were in New York City for 14 years, and when the time came to move, I let my wife drive the move. She got, the hospital contacted her, Providence Hospital contacted her and said, would you be interested? and my wife was a Jersey girl. So we had moved from Seattle to New York for 14 years.
Yes.
And she was upset with that. She didn't want to go back to New York. She wanted to stay in Seattle. But we had 14 great years in New York. We loved New York. We had great jobs and did a lot of wonderful things with the dogs. And when the time came, she drove the move back to the West Coast, which is where I wanted to go anyway, but it says in my personnel file that I let her pick the place we were moving instead of me dragging her somewhere.
And quite a charming place you picked. Cannon Beach is an artist's enclave along the Oregon coast. It's right between Tillamook and Seaside. Great names, right?
Yeah.
So it's also the home of the very famous Haystack Rock and its needles, which are beautiful rock formations that have grown up right out of the beach, literally, and have been there for centuries and have just kind of worn down. But it's a favorite place for people to go. You've got a picture. I actually used that picture on my promo for you. And what a beautiful place it is. And the little theater that David is talking about is such a great, fun center of the universe in Cannon Beach. Because frankly, when the sandcastle building contest is not happening, it's very low key.
Well, it's paradise. It really is. We
It
live
is.
right across the street from that theater, by the way. And,
Oh, wow.
And right in the middle of town, such as it is, 1,700 people in the off season, but in the summer it's busy and packed all the time.
Blows up, yeah.
So it's a beautiful place to be. Wonderful people. They've taken us in like family right from the very beginning, and it's nice to be back in Oregon where I grew up.
Is it a big adjustment for you personally? Having lived in Seattle, you kind of had an idea of West Coast life. Has it been a big adjustment for you moving from New York back to this tiny little
Well,
spot?
in some ways, yes, but in some ways, no. It's when I get up in the morning and I work from home.
Yes.
Unless I'm on the road to go do the dog shows, but I work from home. When I get up in the morning, my bank is right across the street. Right next to that is the library. Not that I use the library all that much. Then there's the market. Then there's the post office, and then there's the world famous, because of all the stuff we've done there, the Driftwood
Oh, yes,
Inn
that's right.
that has an outdoor deck for the dogs and is a wonderful restaurant that I can go every place without ever starting my car up. It's sort of like living in New York. You're limited
walk
to your
it.
neighborhood and walk around. So it's not that tough in that respect, but it's fun because you know everybody.
Yes. 1,700 friends, 1,699 friends. So, David, when you are thinking about the work that you do at home, some of that has obviously been turned around books, but a lot of it is Angel and Grace. So, talk to me a little bit about the whole therapy dog business and why you have decided to be a huge part of that community.
Well, I was already touched by therapy dog organizations in the Seattle area for years, but when Sherry came to me, she had actually had just left her job in product development for Starbucks and had gone back to college to get her master's in theology.
Wow.
And she was going to write her master's thesis on animal-assisted therapy. And she heard me talk about it on television and asked a friend to introduce us. And we ended up yada yada, as we say on Seinfeld, after many things happening. But we ended up, I was sort of her dog wrangler when she was going to classes and making her presentations, and that's what really got me going on it personally, where I took our dogs and started visiting myself. So, then that expanded from there. It expanded into our own charity in New York called Angel on a Leash.
I love that Angel on a Leash. That is so cute.
I wrote a book about my therapy dog experiences and some of Westminster experiences, and some of them are interrelated, but we were very involved. We had a 501c3 charity in New York, creating therapy dog programs in different facilities around the country, and it was a very touching part of my life. We've scaled that back a little bit now. It's more informal, not the 501c3, but we've created therapy dog programs at Sherry's new hospital in Providence Seaside Hospital. So.
Awesome. Providence Seaside. I just love that. It used to be just the Seaside General Hospital. And then there's Wheeler, which is another tiny little town where you barely can go to the hospital because it's not too much bigger than one of the houses that are in Wheeler. But have you had a chance to drive up and down the Oregon coast?
Oh, yeah. It's a spectacular drive.
It is.
Going down the 101, going south, to Manzanita and places further beyond. But Manzanita is kind of the southern end of our world now. It's like 14th Street in New York. You know, you never get south of that.
That's right.
It's a whole nother world. But the Oregon coast is spectacular.
Well, and driving to Manzanita, you pass Rockaway.
Yeah.
And Rockaway, Oregon is the place where Lake Lytle is, and my family beach home was right across the street.
Wow.
So, I mean, the connections are just amazing. They really are. We brought you to Louisville to talk about this absolutely wonderful program called WAGS, and you're going to be the keynote speaker tonight, as a matter of fact, at the big 20th anniversary dinner. Tell us a little bit about how you got connected with such a great therapy organization as WAGS.
Well, I think it's the person sitting right here to my left. They were looking for a speaker, and you suggested me.
I did.
Thank you for that. I love
Thank
to come
you for taking us up on it.
Well, I love to come and share my experiences with other people who love the same things that I do. And I think it's going to be fun for all of us.
It will.
I'm able to mix other parts of my life into my presentation, and have a lot of wonderful pictures, touching pictures of the dogs in action, so to speak, from my years in New York and the years of doing it other places as well. And I think I'm going to have a lot of new friends tonight.
You are. And the Kentucky Derby Museum, if you have not yet seen it. Have you been there?
I've been there years ago. I would come out for the dog shows in March, and we had an event at the museum one year. So
it's beautiful.
I have been there.
And you'll have a lot of great friends, and it's going to be a great event. Shannon, do we have any tickets left? Is it possible?
We do not have any.
No tickets. They've got a sold-out
How
house
about
for
that?
you.
That's
Boy,
pressure.
Great job on WAGS. That's outstanding. You know what? She's asleep now. I was thinking I would bring Lira and Shannon on set. Do you think she'd like to wake up for this?
I hope the rest of our audience out there, I hope you're not falling asleep now, too.
I seriously doubt that.
Us.
Shannon McGowan Wells is our wonderful connection to WAGS, and she and I have been friends for a long time through walking at the dog park, and her Ridgebacks have just been fabulous. Will Lira sit right in front of David? She's perfect, and then I'll let you sit on the little flat stool. You come see Aunt Tara. I love you so much. And Shannon, just anywhere you can pop that thing on, just go ahead and put your mic on. So what we're going to talk about right now is the actual WAGS. Wonderful animals
Giving support.
Yes. Wonderful animals giving support. This is Shannon McGowan Wells. And she and her husband Jim have been hugely involved in this organization, as has Lira. So talk to me just a little bit, Shannon, about this wonderful dog lying in front of us. I think she's fabulous.
Oh, well, we think she's fabulous, too. Lyra is a Rhodesian Ridgeback, which if a lot of people don't know, their claim to fame is they were bred to hunt lion. These days she just
bred to hunt
lion, but these days it's mostly rabbits and squirrels. So
got rid of all the lions here in Louisville.
We're safe and sound here in Louisville. But no, I mean, she's as you can tell, she's very laid back. She's very chill.
She was sleeping before we actually brought her on camera, so it was very, very rude of me to wake her up to do this.
So, but no, Lyra and I have been involved with WAGS for about 1.5 years now. And so currently our facility that we visit on a regular basis is the Sam Swope Care Center at the Masonic Home.
I love that. That's such a beautiful spot, too. It's right down the street from where I live. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a great facility. The people there are wonderful. We have many regulars that we see on a weekly basis. And this summer, Lyra also did a reading program for Jacob Elementary. So she got to go in, and the kids would read her stories and tell her all kinds of tales, and so I think she enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and she's a perfect example of what a therapy dog is supposed to do, because she literally is comfortable wherever she goes. She makes it easy for people to be around her. She walked right up to me when I came in this morning, and is very friendly, and she's just one of those kinds of dogs that people are drawn to.
I walked into the office this morning, into the studio, into Shannon's studio, and in her office there's this couch, and I sat down on the couch, and Lyra was coming right behind me, and she looked at me like, hey, that's my couch. Right?
Yeah, that's
my couch.
I felt guilty right away.
Oh my God, she is so cute. So the WAGS programs that you guys do, Shannon, are so very important, because it has to do with children, it has to do with seniors, kids who are developmentally disabled possibly. We have just a big connection in Louisville to the medical pharmacy, the medical society, I should say, and the doctors and the nurses and the physical therapists all rely on organizations like yours to supplement the work that they do, because they always say, you know, you can give a pill, you can give a shot, you can do surgery, but nothing really really boosts someone's health and well-being more than being in touch with an animal.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you read my speech?
I
already?
did. I got a draft. I got a preview. Your PR person sent me a preview. But it's so true, and you know this to be true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People don't realize how much an animal can lift a person's spirits, you know, whether it's in the hospital situation or whether they're in a nursing facility or something of this nature. Like I said, we have many regulars that we see at the Masonic home, and you can just see they brighten up whenever she walks into the room.
She definitely does.
You know, they really look forward to seeing her, and a lot of them, you know, miss their own pets and that kind of thing. So, you know, she brings a sense of home, I think, to a lot of those people.
I'm going to get out of my chair. You keep talking. I want to get a really good close-up of her, because she's just barely out of
Awake?
the shot.
Oh, okay.
I want to get a good shot. This is very informal, David, in case you're...
Yeah, she says, I'm ready for my shot.
There's the girl. Yeah, she had just in time. And I'll go ahead and acknowledge some of our folks who are watching. Ellen Jones, back from Skamania, Washington, where she was at a conference. Hi, Kevin Bach. Emily DeGenis, soon to be judge. Diana Davies Atherton. My niece is watching from Atlanta. Kelly Rose Magnuson. Yeah, Emily says, dogs rule. David
Cats
Tate.
drool.
I know.
Yeah, that's what we say.
Craig Thalen, Carol Moore. I'm going to do this because I'm going to do all the reading, because I don't think I'll get up again between now and then. Rita O'Hearn Smith, fabulous finder of lost dogs with Kentucky Lost Pets Network.
Wow.
And Kelly says, what wonderful guests you have. Yes, I do. Sheila Bishop, Jamie
There.
Nicole, Diana says, I can't wait to meet him tonight.
Oh, nice.
Kelly says, this is very cool. This is Luna, by the way. Debbie Gober, one of our dear friends and animal advocates. Terry Tucker, Kathleen Krieger, Jerry Ziegert, Justin Spicer, Lisa Fay. Do you like this listing here?
All my friends, yes.
Carol, Tracy Sprouse, who has therapy miniature horses.
Wow.
And a brand new one who's 3 weeks old, and I love her, and her name is Dusty Rose. Jim Coyle is watching us, Emily Hendrick, and Tim Key.
Lyra.
Thank you guys so much for being a part
Lyra.
of our show today. We really appreciate it. Lyra, you are such a good girl. I'm going to zoom right in on your beautiful little face.
Aw.
Look at you. Oh,
Right here, queen of my empire.
Yeah.
you
This
are
is
just the queen of the world.
I think it's nap time. She's
Second
sleepy.
floor loft right here in Butchertown. I just love it. Okay, Lyra, you're okay. It's over now. So I'll try to keep you in the shot. I'll just cut your mom's head off. Just a tiny bit. No, it'll be perfect. Shannon, I just want to thank you for the use of your beautiful studio. 'Cause
Oh, you're
not
welcome.
only are
My
you
pleasure.
not only are you doing the great work of WAGs, but you let us actually come in here and just sit and talk.
Anytime. You know you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, and you know, I did all those hellos without a mic, so probably nobody heard me. But that's okay. I was just so excited to have Lyra on camera, I can't even tell you. Tonight's dinner is a big event.
Yes, very
Why?
big. We're very excited. This is 20 years of the WAGS organization being operational. And Linda Lawn, who's one of our founders, who will definitely be there this evening, is super excited, just like the rest of us. She started out with 2 people, I think, and 4 dogs, and it has grown to we have over 250 active members and 120 facilities that we visit.
That's
In fact,
amazing.
we had to kind of put a cutoff on the facilities last week, and because we don't have enough teams. So, you know, anybody who is interested in becoming a therapy team, you know, we were happy to talk to you at any point.
Anybody who has a dog with a temperament like Lyra, she doesn't have to be as sleepy.
Yeah.
But a
she's kinda
temperament
sleepy.
that's easygoing
Yeah.
and very affectionate and calm under most circumstances. Well, really all circumstances, but you know, we understand when a dog gets excited. It's not like they can't be enthusiastic, but we just don't want them jumping. We certainly don't want them being mouthy. This is the kind of dog that we're looking for to create a WAGS team.
Yeah, and team is the key word, because
Yes.
it's a dog and a human together doing these things.
Right.
It's up to the human to take care of the dog and protect the
That's
dog
right.
first,
Yep.
and protect the people that they visit, and just make sure the dog doesn't get themselves into any trouble by tripping over a tube or stepping in the middle of somebody's sutures or things like that. It really is a team, and that's the key. We talk about the training process overall. And we say, jokingly, I say that, great therapy dogs are born, not made, and our challenge is to train the human part of that team.
Right.
To make sure they don't screw things up. And that's, I was on the Today Show a few years ago, Meredith Vieira was doing the interview, and she said, what are you thinking about when you're visiting? I said, just stay out of the way. Let the dog
do its work.
Do the thing. And just protect everybody, but don't get in the middle of it. And that's what the great therapy dogs, they understand that.
She's still on camera, don't worry. And I think this would be an important time to say this. There is a big distinction between service animals and therapy animals.
Huge.
Yes. Now, which one of you guys wants to take that one? Because I want to explain it. People wonder sometimes, well, why does that dog get to fly on the plane, and why does that dog get to go into a restaurant? What's the difference for the benefit of people who don't know? Do you want David, take this?
Sure. A service dog, and I wrote a book about a heroic service dog years ago before I wrote my second book, but a service dog is assigned sort of to a human being to help that human cope with life. Whether they need hearing assistance or a guide dog for the blind, or a seizure alert dog, or mobility assistance and things like that. It's to help that person with the tasks and chores of their daily life.
Right.
And they can exist, but it would be a very great challenge for them to go through the day without their service dog down.
So I understand the dog has to be able to perform a task that the person cannot perform without the dog.
That's
like
pretty
that.
much correct.
Yeah.
And the challenge is that it's obvious to people when they see a blind person or a person with a sight disability and a guide dog.
Right.
It's easy to say that's a guide dog. But what happens so much these days, we have dogs that are seizure alert dogs for diabetic people. They are the guy who wrote the book about, Mike Lingenfelter, had unstable angina that was sort of like having a heart attack.
Right.
And the dog learned to sense on him that it was coming. We were not sure quite how yet.
I don't
Probably
know
a
either.
smell.
That's amazing.
But we're not certain. And he could alert on Mike and give him, before Mike could feel it himself. But it would give Mike about a 10-minute head start on his medication, which allowed him to bring it somewhat under control and allowed him to get back to a normal lifestyle. But that's what a service dog does. They are part of your life every day.
And I flew with somebody who had 2 Chihuahuas in a little chest pack right near her heart. And they were trained to sense a drop in blood sugar because she was profoundly diabetic and could have died instantly.
That's great.
And so these little critters, I mean, I was like, are you kidding me?
These dogs help keep people alive too.
Yes, they do.
And that's part of it. Therapy dogs are different. Therapy dogs are there to visit other people under the supervision of their human handler.
Yes.
And they don't have rights of access that service dogs do. Service dog can go anywhere that person can go. But a therapy dog is limited on access. They can't go into restaurants. They can't get on airplanes as therapy dogs. And but they provide great service by visiting people in different situations.
One of the greatest problems that I have seen happen, especially in airports. Now we've heard the hilarious stories about people who want to get on with their pot-bellied pig therapy animal, and people want to get in with their boa constrictor therapy animal, and God only knows what. That damages the rights of persons with actual therapy animals, because then everybody's looking at them askew. And in truth, with a service dog, you're not allowed to ask any questions except, can it perform a task that you cannot perform? And pretty much with therapy animals, you have to be able to not take advantage of the situation to get your dog on a plane.
Well, as the owner of a
business,
business, you are only allowed to ask those 2 questions.
Yes.
Is that your service dog, and what service does it provide for you? You can't say, well, demonstrate. Well,
Right.
Mike says, I'm with him somewhere, and somebody said, ask him to demonstrate. He says, you want me to have a heart attack here?
Yeah,
so my dog
exactly.
can demonstrate what he does for me? And that's, but as a private citizen, I can walk up to anybody and engage them in any kind of conversation. And it's not always comfortable, and I don't always do it, because you just have to assume, because you can't tell that what a dog does, but you have to be able to know that you need to give them that right of access. Yes. We're seeing a lot of abuse of that these days with so-called emotional support animals, And I think there are just some issues that the people who abuse the process are making it more difficult for the legitimate service dog humans to get onto airplanes, to get into buildings, to do things, to bring their dogs with them everywhere in their daily life. And that's not fair. That's not a good thing.
So WAGS has created this program, which I love, that enables humans and dogs to train together because, as David said, it's the team approach.
It's definitely
that
the
counts.
team.
What was it like for you and Lira? Tell me about it.
For us, it really was fairly simple. I mean, you see Lira, she's pretty laid back. She's when we got her, we adopted her when she was 3. She was already very well trained.
Yes.
So we didn't have to do as much as some other folks do. But they definitely have to be able to pass certain obedience courses and evaluations and and go through the training. They have to be comfortable, obviously, with strangers and with other, unfamiliar dogs and unfamiliar surroundings and things of this nature, and be calm the whole time and under control. When we started, it was about a year-long process from the time that we joined WAGS to the time that we actually went on our first visit. So they are very cautious in how they operate, and they want to make sure that you not only are you well trained, but you're prepared to go into a situation and be able to handle things.
Exactly. And so when you, Linda, I first knew Linda from years ago at Feeder Supply when the puppies were little, and she did the training, and I have a 90-pound lab Dane named Brady, and Brady was this big. Brady was this big, and I remember we were in the back room where they have all the pallets of food, and Brady crawled underneath one of the pallets, and he turned around and he just laid there and peeped at us, and he wouldn't come out. So that was the extent of his training that day, but he eventually became an absolutely wonderful dog. But Linda's a great trainer, and she's done some fabulous things. You'll meet her tonight, and you guys will have a lot to talk about. Did you? Did she go to
we
dinner?
had dinner last night.
How cool! Yeah, she's wonderful.
It's fun to hear people who have that same sort of passion for what we do with our dogs every day. And
absolutely.
to have people like Linda and Shannon leading the way here, I think, is a great asset for WAGS.
I also must mention the fact that Shannon McGowan Wells of Lee Photography is a premier photographer in Louisville. And do you still do a lot of destination weddings?
I do a few. I'm happy to do a destination wedding.
And I'm happy to carry her crew. I will be her production assistant for sure.
If it's the right destination.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully it'll be somewhere that's warm.
Right,
love that.
Siberia, not so much. But
no Alaskan
anywhere in the
weddings.
tropics, I'm in.
Going.
Yeah.
So a few more friends have tuned in since I actually acknowledged all of you without my mic on, which is silly, but Debbie's watching, Dottie's watching, Marlon Gaines, Ann Byers, Dawn Marie O'Brien, and Deborah Milby Fuchs. So we appreciate all of you guys too. We have David Frei with us. He's a fabulous author about therapy animals. He moved out to Cannon Beach, which is of course my home state of Oregon, and we met on a plane many years ago, and when asked for the name of someone who'd be fabulous to speak at the 20th anniversary WAGS dinner, he was the first one that I thought of. So Shannon is one of the folks who's made this dinner happen. This is how the three of us got together. Lyra's a fabulous therapy dog, and we wanted to share this morning with you because, I mean, tonight's going to be spectacular. What am I going to wear?
Well, it's cocktail attire, so something sparkly maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be a great night. We're really looking forward to it. Cocktails start at 6. We're going to mingle. We've got raffle prizes. We don't have a huge number of raffle prizes. That's because we wanted to make them really special. So the ones that we have are like really nice,
cool.
like, you know, biplane rides and dinner at La Relais and things of this nature. So I think there's a U of L parking pass involved, which some people, you know, that's kind of a coveted
Sounds like
thing.
gold.
God, it is.
So
you wouldn't believe it.
So there's a raffle. David, his books will be on sale, and he's going to sign after the presentation.
Excellent.
We're going to have dinner, and then you know, acknowledge a lot of the founders and the leaders of WAGS, obviously. And then David, we're looking forward to his keynote speech. Is going to be spectacular. So it should be a fun night. And I must state this: everybody is going home with a WAGS bag or swag bag.
Oh, that's so cute.
So no one will go home empty-handed. I mean, it's going to be a great night.
It is going to be.
Very
What
nice.
are you wearing?
You'll have to come and see.
I will. I'll be
My
right
valet
there.
will dress me
Devastatingly
later.
handsome.
We have the books that we're signing and selling. All the proceeds are going back to WAGs. So
Oh, that's so
we
kind.
do that.
Good for you.
Well,
He's such
we
a
want
nice
to share
guy.
our
He is. That's
passion.
the
We
kind
want
of
to
guy
share
he
the
is.
passion with people, and Angel Unleashed, the book, is does that, I think, and I'm excited to be around people that have the same sort of passion I do, as I may have said earlier.
So Angel and Gracie are with Mom this weekend?
They are. They've, they're getting up there now. Angel's 11 and deaf. She's lost, over the last couple of years, she's lost the rest of her hearing. For a while, it was sort of selective, kind of like most, me. But she could hear the dinner dish clank, but she couldn't hear me tell her to get off the couch.
Yes, perfect.
But now she just can't hear anything. Which
Does Jim
leads
do that to you too?
Yeah, that sounds like my husband for sure. Yeah.
Well, she's now barking. She's now learned to bark in the middle of the night, not continuously, but just a single bark. She'll bark.
Yeah.
She'll see something move outside and she'll bark. She'll see a reflection and bark, but it's not that she hears anything. So she's 11. Grace is 9, just turned 9.
Can't believe that.
Had a great celebration.
Turn you off. That's the first time that's happened in a long time because most people know that I'm actually doing a live cast, so they don't bother me, which I love. Okay, so back to you, the Driftwood.
The Driftwood has become home for us. When we were getting ready to move to Cannon Beach, I sent an email to several of the restaurants there and said, "Do you allow dogs? Do you have an outside facility or place that you allow the dogs
And
to
they
come?"
do.
And Kyle at the Driftwood was the first guy to respond and said, "Yes, we have a deck, and if your dog is well behaved, and if you are well behaved, you can
That's the key.
be on our deck."
I
And-
actually ate there the last time I was in
Yeah.
Oregon. It was so good. And
Well,
so
we have.
much
My
fun.
wife has measured it out. It's 300 steps from our condo, so we spend a lot of time there, and it's kind of the gathering place in Cannon Beach because people walk by on the sidewalk and they can see you sitting up there, and they'll call out a hello or something less, and we have a great time in Cannon Beach, and we can't say enough about that.
And you spend time on the sand, which is the best part of all. And the kite flying is famous.
There's lots of kites. Of course, Haystack Rock is it. Cannon Beach itself is the home of 14, I think, art galleries. Great ones like Northwest by Northwest, which has a great bronze collection from Georgia Gerber. We have a fox from there. There's a Labrador Retriever in there. That's a huge life-size bronze. There are many art galleries there. There's
Wonderful.
several brew pubs, lots of breweries, and a couple of distilleries. So you can come to Cannon Beach and you have no reason to leave.
And the vineyards
Sounds
in
great.
Oregon have become famous as the vineyards in California. Oregon Pinot Noir is so well known. And we are a city of breweries and distilleries.
Yes, I know that.
Everything here has
That's
become
great.
oriented to bourbon and wine. So the next time you come back, and
Bourbon
hopefully
and
it will
wine
be
are two of my
soon.
strong suits. And
what you really must-
customer service, and customer research.
What you must do the next time you come, we have a thing called bourbon and chocolate pairing at one of the local
Yeah, I'd be good at
distilleries.
that.
And you take four bites of cellar door chocolates and 4 little half shots of bourbon. And they teach you all of the different tastes and flavors and how they complement each other. It's such a great idea.
All right,
that's a
I'll
great
try
way.
I'll try to develop a speech for that group.
He's coming back for the 21st
Exactly.
anniversary of the WAGs dinner. That'll be so much fun. So, David, back to the whole concept of the work that you do with therapy animals and the dog shows. Let's talk about the dog shows for just a
Okay.
minute. You have now been with the National Dog Show for how many years?
Well, this will be our 17th year. in
Okay,
November.
so 20-something with the
27
Westminster,
with Westminster.
and now 17 with this. And what about the third one? It's going to be a National Dog Therapy
Well,
Show?
yeah, we should do that. We actually,
Lyra
the
wants to
third
sign
one
up.
that
Yes.
we added when NBC brought me on, they said, we're going to add another dog show. Where do you want to go? And I suggested Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So it's the Kennel Club of Beverly Hills. It's the Beverly Hills Dog Show that actually airs on Easter Sunday. But one of the things that I did right away in Beverly Hills was connect us to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Wonderful.
And their thriving therapy dog program. They have over 100 teams associated with their program at the hospital. So they partnered, the Kennel Club has partnered with them and donates part of the proceeds to that organization. every year.
Fantastic.
So it's a great way for us all to get involved in our community. Sometimes we forget about the fact that that we are real people in the dog show world, and
Yes.
we have the same sort of connections in our community that anybody else would have. and we want to do what we can to help benefit them.
Yeah, fantastic. Was there a former Miss America involved with one of your dog shows that you remember? Leanne
Of course. No, she was with the AKC show,
She was with the AKC
but Debbie
show.
Turner,
Yeah.
who's from Missouri,
The vet.
is a veterinarian. She was Miss America. She was on CBS, but she was my partner one year, and then also did our floor reporting a couple of years.
I was in Atlantic City covering the pageant the year she won, and she's fabulous.
She's great. I love her, and I've had a conversation with her in the last few months because of another show that we're working on to develop, and that I'd like her to be a part of. So
Cool.
So hopefully we can come back together. She's living in Michigan now, and wants to get back and doing stuff with the animals.
And of course, Heather French Henry is our very own Miss America from Kentucky,
Yeah.
whose veterans programs have made such a mark across the country,
That's great.
and she's amazing. And she's now the #2 person in the Department of Veterans Affairs for Kentucky.
Beautiful. Well,
So-
there's a way to combine all that.
Yes.
When we lived in New York, every Wednesday, Grace and I would go to visit the VA hospital.
Yes.
And, it's my demographic. I'm a guy, I'm their age,
Yep.
and I'm a veteran. So
Thank you for your service.
Well, you're very welcome, but it was nothing compared to a lot of these people that we see and that we've seen at the hospitals. And what it does, those kinds of activities build awareness for us in everything else that we do.
Right.
It's made me be more aware of people walking around with their little veterans hats on and
Yes.
say, where they served, Vietnam veteran or whatever, to go up to them and thank them. And that's sometimes what our dogs can do, is they can help instill in us a certain attitude about things that when I'm walking around without my dog and I see these people where I would normally run up to them with the dog, now I'm just going to go up to them myself.
Right.
And have a conversation with
There
them.
are so many rescues in this town that do wonderful work. The Arrow Fund taking in animals who have been severely abused, tortured, and neglected, and healing them with top-flight veterinary care, getting them fostered and adopted. One of my favorites, Dogs Helping Heroes, was started by a young man named David Benson, and he, you're not going to believe this, they have the dogs raised and trained in the prison, and then he, as a professional dog trainer, teaches them 60 commands, and then partners them with a veteran who has PTSD or a traumatic brain injury or both.
That's beautiful.
So we've got a lot of that in Louisville. We are very attached to our animals, and we certainly are attached to the rescues that take them in and really take good care of them. So we're grateful that WAGS, as a therapy organization, also helps to bring attention to these other organizations. And by the way, we're going to let them go pretty quick here because, let's see, what time is it? We got a clock here? 11:35. I promised I wouldn't keep them. They're going to be on the WHAS Noon News, so watch for more. I think Juliana's going to host interview you.
Definitely.
So they're going to run down to the studio here in just a minute and be on the news, so you have an opportunity to watch that as well. And sorry that there are no tickets left, but if you're a David Frei groupie, you can gather outside the Kentucky
so
Derby
many of
Museum.
them.
There are millions watching for you. Gather outside the beautiful place and just watch the beautiful people go in, because it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Thank you both for taking time to talk to us
Thank you, Tara.
on our Wagon Friday.
Yeah.
Lyra?
Friday, F-R-E-I.
Lyra.
F-R-E-I. That's
Friday.
exactly right. Hey,
Hey, you're gonna wake up.
Lyra.
It's nap
Fire
time.
up.
Good girl.
She's
I just wanted one last shot of Lyra on camera before she dozed away for the rest of the morning. But thank you guys again so much. And unfortunately, we don't have remotes in this business, so I have to get up to unplug. But just keep smiling. Just keep showing them how beautiful you are. David Frei, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.